Greetings to everyone. It's time for me to record the next writing practice video. And today's topic is going to be about a video game that is called Disco Elysium. Truth be told, I'm very excited to write an essay on this topic because this is one of my favorite video games and I sincerely consider it not just a game, rather a piece of art by itself. What I mean by that, I'll try to elaborate in today's video. Disco Elysium at a first glance is a usual point-and-click game, where all your gameplay is about talking with other characters, interacting with the environment, and strolling about looking for things. But it's also an RPG, where you need to invest skill points in enhancing your abilities, which sounds quite regular for a game. Nonetheless, after the first couple of minutes, it would be obvious that there is nothing usual about this game. Instead of classical traits like stamina, agility, intellect, or charisma, we have much wider spectrum of traits. For instance, intellect splits into logic, rhetorics, conceptualization, drama, and visual calculus. In a whole, we have 20 traits to invest in, and all of them are important and affect the gameplay variously. To explain how exactly, I need to uncover the story. We are playing as a detective, so basically the story is a detective, at a first impression. However, we are not playing as a Sherlock Holmes or at least a regular normal detective. No, not at all. Our character is a middle-aged alcoholic who drank himself so much that he even forgot his own name, his past, and the whole world around him. Moreover, in this state we need to solve a murder, quite complicated one. Sounds interesting? I assume so. We need to do it mostly by talking to other characters and investigating the surroundings. So why do we need 20 different traits to do so? Actually, it's not just traits or stats. In the game, the traits represent different aspects of human psyche and physicality, or in other words, how our brain and body operate, how we think, interact, and react. For instance, we have logic that helps us to analyze information. Rhetorics helps us to get our way with people in dialogues. Drama to understand when people are lying or hiding the information. Visual calculus to reconstruct the crime scenes. Conceptualization simply makes us a very sophisticated detective with a huge ability to create interesting theories and give remarkable explanations. We also have empathy, authority, volition, speed reaction, composure, electrochemistry, and etc. All these skills affect how our character interacts with the world, what he thinks, what he is capable to do, and what he is able to notice. So basically through leveling and investing skill points, like in a regular RPG, we are affecting not the combat aspects, but literally the personality itself. For example, if we decide to prefer physical skills, our character would be eager to solve problems by force and will be very good at performing stunts. If we invest skill points in empathy, our detective would be really good at understanding what and how other people feel. If we invest in logic, it will make quite a good detective overall, but the lack of skill in other abilities might hinder us from important clues. So, there is a lot of ways how we can build our character and how we can interact with the environment. However, it's just a gameplay part. Interesting of course, but only a pinch of content in this game. There is a lot of stuff behind it. Not only detective work, but introspective, retrospective, futurism, and sci fiction. This game resembles a poem about humanity in all these ugly and beautiful tones. Yes, as I said, this game is an art object by itself. The brilliant part of the game is dialogues, as it should be in a mainly textual game. Everything feels alive, the world is huge and elaborated, creates a sufficient universe by itself with its own unique elements. Politics, psychology, economics, war, revolution, humanity, all combined and integrated with eloquent finesse. Every character or NPC in this game is absolutely unique, slightly grotesque, but realistic and complex. For instance, we can get into a dialogue with a military veteran and debate with him our political views. Also, we can talk with a racist and reprimand him for the wrongdoings, or we can accept his point of view and become a racist ourselves. Or we can just meet a little girl who helps her mom in a bookshop and talk about literature in the same way as you might talk with a real person. It feels and perceived so authentic that the dialogues absolutely consume your attention, and not only by authenticity or elaborated social topics. This game is absolutely fused with humor. I could say more than half of the game is pure comedy, while the other is a pure tragedy, in a good manner of speaking. It is difficult to explain it all. It's just ingenious writing, I guess. Furthermore, the player has options. We can make everything more funny or serious, or sad or even mad at times. The environment will react to that accordingly. Though I deem the game narrative has a more introspective direction. For example, a cool feature is that the detective can internalize thoughts by considering different concepts and ideas, which always leads to interesting conclusions, revealing to us more about the world and the character itself. Various thoughts will shape and alter his personality, giving the player unique options in dialogues, or just mesmerizing peculiar conclusions. Very engaging to read. As you might notice, I don't talk about the story a lot, rather different aspects of the game, because I don't want to spoil the experience, and I surely can't elaborate better than the authors already did. In a whole, it's a very good writing. What about music in this game? I presume you still remember the soundtracks from the Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter movies. Sound in these titles represent a theatrical approach by transferring emotions to the audience and illuminating the overall atmosphere. In Disco Elysium we have a similar approach. Music isn't created for easing the gameplay, but rather to guide us emotionally through the story, helping to catch the feelings that the place or the situation emits. British music band Sea Power did a very solid job. Even now, after a couple of years, the Disco Elysium soundtracks are still very pleasant to listen. And what about visuals? Graphic probably not very up to date, but this game is not about realistic visuals, it's about art pictures. I assume most of the game had been drawn and painted by hand. Mesmerizing arts. Don't need to say more. The last chapter of this video is a couple of words to support the creators of the game, because unfortunately they were deprived of the game rights and can't continue their work on their creation. Disco Elysium is a unique, ingenious, fun, dramatic and deeply human game. Thanks for it. Thanks for the unique game that we have a chance to experience, and I'm personally waiting for the next one from the original creators. And I recommend to try Disco Elysium if you haven't done it yet.